I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go.
Welcome. And I wish I had time to light up my background blue for Gannon. Gannon is the victim in this case. He loved the color blue. I think he liked Sonic as well. If you would like a thorough deep dive into this case, Grizzly True Crime has phenomenal coverage of this case. And I think this might have been the case where I found Grizzly's channel. And I really like the way that she covered cases but she has a great overview. I have multiple videos covering the mental health experts from the first trial. Let's take a step back. Letecia Stauch was convicted of first degree capital M in the death of her stepson, Gannon. The family would really like for her to not have that last name anymore because of what she did, how she tore apart this family. She had raised him from the time his younger sister was, I think, maybe 2 years old. And I think he was maybe like 5 years old or so, maybe 5 or 7, something like that. She had been in his life. His father was active duty military. And so he would have to deploy and travel and do different things. And Letecia and her daughter, because Letecia has a daughter, Harley. I did a video covering Harley's testimony. My heart breaks right now for Harley as well, because she might have to come back into this case all again if it is retried. If you'd like to see legal commentary about what happened in the courts, Defense Diaries did a thorough breakdown of this case. And that's where I heard that the state has an option to appeal this decision to the state Supreme Court. But so Letecia was convicted and she pled not guilty by reason of insanity. And this case, no lie, Dr. Lewis, she has a HBO special. I did not watch it. She has done some pretty famous not guilty by reason of insanity. I think she met with like Ted Bundy. She's claimed people are because she believes like this murderous part is like a split personality. But I think it's a part of her paradigm. To me, Letecia was clearly playing with this woman's emotions. like Letecia. So, because Dr. Lewis recorded their interviews and the state played portions of the interview where while Letecia is sitting there, Dr. Lewis turns to Leticia's lawyer and is like, do you think she could have been dissociating? Like has a whole conversation about what the lawyer thinks might have been going on. Leticia's sitting right there. Like she's almost telling her like, hey, like this might not, but not directly. And I don't think she did it on purpose. I think her style is just very casual. She is a forensic psychiatrist. I hope she's retired. This case was just, oh my gosh. She did diagnose Letecia with dissociative identity disorder. I thought the state experts were phenomenal. And the defense called Leticia's former therapist or psychiatrist. I forget if it was a therapist or the person prescribing her medication, but she only had anxiety. She didn't have like significant mental health issues. There were no major red flags. And if somebody has dissociative identity disorder at the age, like they're going to have multiple psychiatric hospitalizations. There's going to have a history of just a lot of severe, very extreme behavior. It's not something that you hide for years and years, and it pops up right before you do something horrific and then you plead not guilty by reason of insanity. And so she was completely lucid. She tried to cover her tracks, but forensic digital evidence tracked her movements, and thank goodness. And I think the state or somebody considered it to be a miracle because Letecia tried to discard Gannon's. Okay, so trigger warnings. Okay, trigger warnings. She tried to discard his body on a bridge. And this man that searches under this bridge every 2 years, he just so happened to search under that bridge, and that's how Gannon was recovered, and that's how we know what happened to him. If his body hadn't been recovered, this would have been a much harder case to prove. The details are horrific. I am not going into it. A bunch of people. So I gained a whole bunch of subs on my covering Dr. Lewis's testimony because and my audio is horrible. If you go back to those videos, I'm recording from my old office. I'm down. I hadn't figured out a lot of the StreamYard YouTubey stuff yet. And but I still have those videos up there if you want to go back and take a look. I also have a video I did just talking about the case without reviewing video because Dr. Lewis's testimony was exhausting. Dr. Lewis would claim that she didn't have something, and the state was like, I want it on the record with just the judge and the defense. She says she doesn't have this document. And then the state asked her a question. And she was like, oh, here. And she was like, the state, oh, it was so bad. I think her son allegedly got in trouble for like smoking cigarettes in the hallway or something. Because the Judge Daddy was like, to the whole court was like, nobody's smoking. Nobody's. And her son was also in a part of the evaluation. This whole case was it was a mess. I do think they would find a different mental health expert. I don't think they would go with Dr. Lewis again. And Dr. Lewis, in my personal thoughts and opinion, just so happened to accept this case right around the time the HBO series was coming out. I'm not saying that, but and this was a high profile case. She believed she had DID, but nobody else did. Yes. And so smoking something with a bit of a funny smell. And it's legal in Colorado, but you can't do it in court. Yeah, Letecia was her behavior. So I watched Courtroom Confidential. Recovery Addict was on there today, and they talked about how she would hide behind her hair. She would flip the bird at people. She was engaging in some very odd behavior. But the only diagnoses that the state mental health experts found were signs of narcissistic and borderline personality disorder. Maybe some anxiety, but they found her competent at the time of the crime. A bunch of so the type of person Letecia is, because she just, and then hearing her diagnoses, okay. So when her daughter was 12 years old, when Harley was 12 years old, her dad passed away. And in court, Harley is on the stand, and the state asks, do you know how your dad died? And Harley says, yes, he died of an overdose. And the state asked, when did you find this out? And she says, and she's in her 20s, or she's a legal adult. She says, last week. And he passed when she was 12. And the state asks, what were you told when he died? And Harley's mother, Letecia, told her that her dad was robbed and unalived. And I don't know if she thought that would be less traumatic than saying he died of an overdose. Like, what? and never told her the truth. She finds out literally on the internet. And so if all of these, but that was to go at Letecia's history of lying, manipulation, and it's always for her benefit. Like, it's not this, because she's disconnected. She invented this Maria. She invented, and she did attack. I think they were in the car. She attacked one of the people during the trip back. She reminds me of Taylor Shabusiness, but without the like drug damage. She really, really gives Shabusiness, but without the like substance part. This is just pure evil, in my opinion. But a lot of people hear situations like this and stories like hers, and they think like there has to be something wrong with her. But sometimes people just do really evil things. And so my personal thought and the state's narrative is that she likely was jealous of Gannon, because Gannon was starting to get older, and I think he considered her to be like a mother to him. And as he got older, he wanted to be in contact with his birth mother. And I think Letecia saw that as a rejection, as you don't love me, you don't want to be with me. And it's my understanding there might have been something with like a candle and him getting burned. And then after that, there was a more escalated incident that resulted in a very brutal, very graphic, I'm not going to say it here, very, very graphic incident that happened. My heart goes out to the family, because if she does have a new trial, they'll have to reopen all of these wounds. They'll have to see all of those images again. If I did stream any of it, I would stream the mental health experts. I would not stream the part where they're showing the images and pictures, and I wouldn't play any of that part. This is a very triggering case. So what happened with the appeal? Some people might not know. I apologize. 15 minutes in and people don't know. So while she was convicted by a jury in 2023, there was a juror that during voir dire of the jurors, the juror disclosed that he is his son-in-law works for the prosecutor. So his son-in-law works for the prosecutor. But this state has some weird law that says like 3 degrees. Like you can't have, like it's a biased jury if there's 3 degrees to the defendant or to the prosecution's office. Like you can't have anybody, if there's 3 degrees of relationship by marriage, by like blood or adoption, they can't be on the jury. And the defense objected to the juror, but they did not use one of their preemptive strikes, because they could have struck the juror from the jury altogether, but they did not use one of their preemptive strikes, because there's technically a law in that state that says jurors that are within 3 degrees of relationship can't be on the jury. It's not up to judicial discretion. This is way so I'm not the lawyer. So please go back to defense diaries or courtroom confidential to have a real lawyer break it down. But that's my understanding based on what I listened to and what I heard. Okay. So that was the issue. And there were 3 appellate judges that heard it. And 2 of the judges agreed that, yes, the judge should have struck the juror, even though the defense didn't use a preemptive, because the defense was probably trying to save those strikes for a different juror. They probably didn't want to use that. If this person isn't supposed to be on the jury, the defense didn't use one of their preemptive strikes, because they might want to use, because you only get 4. You might want to use that later. And so 2 of the judges agreed that that could have prejudiced the jury. And so they say that she gets a new trial. One of the judges dissented and did not believe that. And so it's my understanding, because there were other appellate issues that were brought up, including that the search warrant for her phone was way too broad. And but the good thing is the affidavit that the police officer wrote was very detailed. So while the search warrant was broad, the police affidavit was really strong. And so that judge didn't think that that was an issue. And so this whole thing is just I somebody mentioned that that the defense didn't challenge the biased juror. It's my understanding that they objected to the juror. But remember, I'm not a lawyer. Okay. I'm not a lawyer. I thought the judge handled this case well. I did not start watching it from the point of jury selection. This case was also, I think it was like WebEx, or like, cuz the feed. Let me show y'all one of the let me see if I can pull up. And it's not just like my video that has weird audio or anything. It is just how the court feeds. Okay. So let me share my screen. And I have a playlist just covering this case. So I have about 6 or 7 videos covering this case. If you would like to check out any of my old coverage of this case. And the case was streamed like this, where, okay, I'll make myself small again so that y'all can see, because there's Letecia, there's the judge, and this is how the case was streamed. Yeah. I thought it was WebEx. Yeah, the audio was not great. So I do not want a new trial. I hope, and the good thing is she will not be released. So right now her conviction has been overturned by the appellate court. The state has 45 days to appeal to the state Supreme Court. And so she stays exactly where she is for the next, and during this time, the state might decide to just go on ahead and retry the case, or they might file an appeal with the state Supreme Court. And then it would be up to the state Supreme Court. They do have a law that says the person wasn't supposed to be on the jury. And so, no, she will not be released. She's exactly where she needs to be. She will not be released. She will stay exactly where she is. And she would be held there. They might have to have a bond hearing. So like they might have to, and somebody asked a question about double jeopardy. Because the first conviction was overturned, you can be tried for the same case again if the first trial is over. Like you can't, or else people would just make mistakes and then not be able to be tried and then be free. So if there was a error, she can be retried again on the exact same charges. I wish there were some other charges keeping her in jail with a different jury, but there's not. Is she in Colorado? Y'all know me in places. I'm sorry. I'm bad with names and things. So let me see. Yes, Colorado Sun. She's in Colorado. All right. And so I do not believe she would be granted bail. I would be concerned about the safety of the Stauch family. I would be concerned about, and so she's staying in jail. And I do believe she would be convicted again. She confessed to doing it. The only thing up for grabs is, was she legally insane? And she seems like a bad actor. Like when she's all the things she was doing, like she so reminds me of Taylor Schabusiness. Like similar odd behavior, but in a, like, I'm trying to get my way, I'm throwing a little tantrum kind of way. And she's not actively psychotic. Any mental health records? Because let's say she received treatment for dissociative identity disorder, anxiety? Is she on any medication? If she does plead not guilty by reason of insanity, all the mental health records and all the observations for the time that she's been in jail. I also think that all of the like phone conversations, all of those things, and I believe come up for grabs. Um, uh, so if if it's a true break from reality, and dissociative identity disorder is incredibly rare. So let's talk a little bit about dissociative identity disorder. Uh, it is on the dissociation spectrum. We talked earlier about the narcissism spectrum. Dissociation also has a spectrum from very mild to dissociative identity disorder. These are individuals that have separate, their self is fragmented into different parts. There's often a protective part, there's often a childlike part, there's often, and normally it's individuals with that diagnosis often have horrific harm, often cult, ritualistic, beginning in infancy. Like normally they have severe trauma, and the way that they survived their severe trauma was it didn't happen to me. It happened to Mary. It happened to Susie. It happened to Bill. It happened to Bob. Like it. So the person every time. So not every time, but dissociation can be a defense mechanism, and I used to have some systems that follow me. I don't know if there are still any systems, because sometimes people with dissociative identity disorder, they call themselves a system, and they'll sometimes name the system, and that's how they start integrating into one identity. Is thinking about themselves as a system, a collection of different parts. The host, the person, is often unaware of what the other parts do because it often happens in a dissociated or disconnected state, and the person genuinely has no clue what's happening, and so they often lose track of time. They'll know people and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, good seeing you yesterday," and they're like they have no recollection of meeting a person, knowing a person. People might call them by a different name, and like it can be a very, very confusing thing. They often receive significant mental health treatment beginning often in like middle high, like it normally starts really early on. I've worked with individuals with severe dissociation. I do not specialize in treating dissociative identity disorder, so I personally don't treat long-term individuals with that diagnosis. During my during my uh and so Phoenix, I saw your question about how individuals that experience severe trauma, and so different, just because somebody severely dissociates does not mean that they disconnect from their identity and who they are. I'm thankful that the Frankie kids got safe early and that they were able to get help and support. Hey, Tanika, hope you and the babies are doing good. Welcome, welcome. Um, do. Uh, so I didn't watch Primal Fear, but dissociative identity disorder is frequently, dissociation and psychosis are two of the most frequent things when somebody does try to do not guilty by reason of insanity. They often attempt one of those diagnoses. And it's up to the mental health experts because there are signs for when a person is faking. And the fact that Letecia's daughter, husband, nobody else had any signs of odd behavior because the different identities, some will talk different, they will dress different. So after her arrest, yeah, Maria would sometimes talk with a Spanish accent, or she called Maria the protector, but this was all after the arrest. All of a sudden, all of these alters emerge after her arrest. I don't think so. Uh, and so once again, because dissociative identity disorder is rare, and individuals with that diagnosis are often a greater risk to themselves. So they often have multiple attempts on themselves. And while they might be physically, but like, I'd have to look at the research on if there's, but I haven't seen anything that says they're more likely to do some type of crime or something like that. Okay. Question. Is it definite Leticia's daughter's father definitely passed from an overdose? That was according to her testimony and according to articles that she saw. But her father definitely was not redrummed. That was clear. Her mother clearly lied to her about that. And that would make sense because I wonder if in Leticia's mind, she didn't want her daughter to think that the dad had a problem with substance. Like, in a weird way, she may have been trying to protect her, but to me, that was more traumatizing. So if I'm working with somebody who at 12 their parent dies from an overdose, um, I would often work with the family of like how, because at 12, because if they're 4, they're gonna just, the person was, and when they're older, they'll find out the truth. But at 12, because if the person was actively using substances, I've worked with 12-year-olds that knew their parents abused alcohol or substances. Like they were aware of substance use at 12. And so those are just my thoughts. So the ways that they could have survived the harm could have been, so just dissociation and not DID. So dissociative identity means it didn't happen to me, it happened to somebody. Sometimes what happens, often individuals that have experienced trauma, they will talk about kind of disconnecting during difficult events or difficult things. So sometimes just dissociation can be the defense mechanism. It doesn't have to be, because dissociative identity disorder is severe. And that is the one that is rare. And that is the one, because it didn't happen to me, it happened to Sally. And that's where reintegrating those parts is, that's where treatment becomes really, really important. I don't remember her using substances, but I don't honestly, this case, I do not remember. Um, I do not think I've ever discussed this case. I don't think I have. Let me know if y'all have any general questions about this one. And dissociation is a common defense mechanism. It is one of the earliest ones that can emerge. I know sometimes if I've had like a lot of dental work, there were times where I could feel myself disconnecting. I often use music or other things, or I communicate to them like, "Hey, that hurts. I need some more Novocaine or whatever." But uh and then I have to be mindful when I'm driving. Because sometimes I might, so there's something called road blindness where when you're driving, so when I drive to work, I need to get off at exit 133, but I have to pay attention because if I miss that exit, my next exit is 130. I used to have to get off at 126. And if you miss 126, your next exit is 118. That was the worst. I did U-turn illegally one time. Y'all know me in driving. I know, I'm sorry. um, why lie to a kid old enough to understand what happened to their parent? So Letecia, I think that was more about, so remember her potential diagnoses are narcissism and borderline personality disorder. I think that was more about the mother protecting herself. I don't think it was about protecting the child. Because also, even if you lied at 12, why didn't you tell her when she was 18? Like, why are you, her mother never told her how her dad died. And her mother denied doing it for years and years until she changed her plea to not guilty by reason of insanity. They had so much evidence on this woman. So she initially said not guilty. It wasn't me. It wasn't. But she initially said not guilty. But then all that evidence came in and she changed her plea from not guilty to NGRI because the daughter believed, I don't think it was her. Like her daughter believed, Harley believed her mom until she changed her plea. It was Harley's testimony was heartbreaking to watch. I don't think she was involved. I believe her. So trigger warnings, content warnings. Letecia traveled with his deceased body from Colorado to Florida. Was it Florida? I want to say he was found in Florida. And and there was no, because the officers testified that prior to opening the suitcase, there was no smell. And because a lot of people had a lot of hate for Harley, I don't believe Harley was involved at all. She loved Al, her stepfather. She loved Gannon. She loved the other, her younger stepsister, and she lost a dad. I don't know if her and the stepfather Al, I don't know if they ever reconnected, because I think at the time of all of this, I think because Letecia took Harley and ran off while Gannon was missing. She like ran off, and she blamed Al. She accused him of, I'm talking, Letecia said that Al was involved with human trafficking. She she made all of these horrific allegations against him. And uh I understood him being very heartbroken towards Harley. I kind of hoped that they reconnected after the trial. I felt Harley's testimony was very helpful to the state, um, because she didn't see any signs of severe mental illness with her mother. Like, her mother wasn't calling herself different names. She wasn't talking in an accent. She wasn't acting any different than normal. And if a person is truly dissociated, there would be a different presentation. All right. And so I do think she's going to do NGRI again. She might just say, I don't know if she's going to try dissociative identity disorder again. Unless, because I don't think they would call Dr. Lewis back. I hope they don't. I hope they don't. But it would be, oh, okay. So the content creator in me would be here with popcorn. Okay. If they, hopefully they don't have to do another trial. Okay. For the sake of the family, for the sake of justice, I hope things are fine. If for some reason she got a new trial, and if for some reason they brought Dr. Lewis back, I will help y'all get through it with some popcorn. It was the worst testimony I have ever seen in my life. And I said it in a video. I was like, I thought Dr. Spiegel and the Johnny Depp Amber Heard, because he got on the stand and he said he diagnosed Johnny Depp based on watching interviews. Like, he never met the man. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't. I was like, what in the world? And so that trial is when I kind of bit the true crime. So I really wasn't into true crime before Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. One of my clients actually recommended Emily D. Baker. I watched her coverage and I was like, oh my gosh. I already had a YouTube channel, but I was doing more mental health education and nobody found me. Nobody, y'all haven't seen nobody. 30 to 40 people appreciated those videos, and I appreciated them too. Those videos did not get me monetized. Dr. Speak, and I'm a therapist in Virginia. I used to work in Virginia Beach. I forget I don't know if he still works where he worked back then, but I used to work with the Virginia Beach Community Services Board. I used to take my clients to multiple like psychiatrists and things over there. I'm glad I never met him, because there were some psychiatrists in Virginia Beach that I had worked with before. I can say I did not know him. I did have a professor that was I'll say it here. Yeah, it's been long enough. I have a professor that would do forensic evaluations for people, and like, I would have some thoughts if I ever was covering a case and he was the expert. But if they bring back Dr. Lewis, but we will. Whoa. So Dr. Lewis put on a show, but it was not good, and she did not come across credible, and it was extremely painful. She was on the stand for so long and it was so bad. It was not helpful. At one point, so she said on the stand that she begged and begged the state to get Letecia an MRI. She desperately thought there was some organic brain damage. There was something wrong with her brain. And if she just had an MRI, that would help. So the defense and state because she's pretty much claiming, and I forgot what the defense said, but she was almost, Dr. Lewis was almost saying that the defense was lying about something. So the defense produces an email where Dr. Lewis requested for them to withdraw the request for the MRI. I was like, oh, I was like, no, no. Like, she withdrew the request. Like, and she was on the stand. Like, if I just had the MRI, if I just had the MRI, my like y'all would see what I see. And it was just she withdrew the request. And then like it was so bad. It was so bad. I don't think she had dementia. I just think she was very entrenched in her beliefs. And a good expert will admit when the other side has a point, and they will just wait for the side that calls them to redirect it. They'll just wait for that. But it was extremely painful. Extremely painful. Extremely painful. But so legal, I don't know that I can. I don't um I she did not seem to take feedback well. She seemed very like but I think she just thought she was the expert. She thought she was the best in the room. Nobody knew like her. And she was going to go in here and get Letecia a not guilty verdict. Because even if you go to her Wikipedia, she has a Wikipedia page, and the Letecia Stauch trial is on her Wikipedia page. And there's something to the effect of, like, even though Dr. Lewis provided I'm paraphrasing. This isn't exactly what it says. Provided amazing testimony, the defendant was convicted or something. I don't know. Like, it was it was not good. It was painful testimony in my personal thoughts and opinion. It was a lot. So I have been streaming since 2 p.m. I need to drink some water. I hope you all have a great weekend. We are going to be streaming church, and then we are going to see the Mario movie tomorrow. That is our Easter tradition. Because normally, so y'all, everybody else stay home. Don't go to the movies tomorrow. We will be. I don't like a packed movie theater. So I'm hoping that the movie theater will be mostly empty and we will enjoy our movie tomorrow. How do you think this coming back up will affect their little girl? So, um, the so Letecia, to my knowledge, did not have any children with Al. It was all so those were his children from a prior relationship. And I think he remarried. I want to say he remarried. I'm almost positive that Al remarried and that there is somebody else in that child's life. I have concerns that the young child might have saw something. So if this is retried and if she has memories, because based on some of Leticia's story, it sounded like the young daughter might have been there for some things. And so um there might be a forensic interview, 'cause she's older now. Um, because I think she was 7 at the time of this incident, and she's older now. If this goes back to trial, I don't know if she saw something. Her testimony could potentially, um I hope they're able to keep her out of it. I really hope. I don't like it when children have to come in. She did not come into the first trial, but based on what Letecia was saying, it sounded like the young child, like she was there for some things. And so, um, I don't know. I don't know. I appreciate you all. I will see you all on Tuesday, and we will be back in Hawaii for the Garrett Koenig trial. I don't know if I'll wear some. If it's hot like it is today, I might be in something tropical on Friday. Because we're gonna have. I'm staying up. I'm not gonna do verdict watch all night because I do have to sleep, but I will be staying up through if the state does a rebuttal case, and then um closing arguments. I will play all of that. And so I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Be kind, don't do crimes, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.